Everyone knows Mrs. Miller. She's the lady who's been in the audience for every one of Jack Parr's TV shows. Well, Johnny has a similar fan, and he's never missed the Tonight Show in 11 years. Would you all please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks?
Hiya, Johnny. I thought they were there for a while. They weren't going to get to me. I'm not saying it's been a long evening. When I sat down at the desk, I didn't need a shave. Hey, Ed. You look a little more smashed than usual tonight. Yes, friends, I can remember being in the audience for the very first Tonight Show. I was rolled. I was rolling in the aisles. Some yo-yo tied my shoestrings together. And I might say I've been there ever since. I was there the night he told Billy Graham he loved his crackers. And the night he introduced Ed McMahon's wife as Ed McWoman. And I was there the night when he asked Marcello Mastroianni if innuendo was the Italian name for preparation H. And I was there the night to Willie Shoemaker, the jockey. I was the night that Willie Shoemaker, the jockey, was there and told Johnny he weighed only 92 pounds, so soaking wet. You. He told him that's what he gets for standing under his horse.
We're very pleased to have with us the man who managed your campaign for presidency in 1968. Your closest friend and political advisor, Mr. Foster Brooks.
Hi, Newbie. I still can't figure out how can't figure out how the heck we lost. The only way I can figure it out, it must have been simply bad timing. You just happened to be running for president the same day Nixon was. One day, either way, you would have been a shoe. Then instead of Tricky Dicky, we'd have had Huey the Boot. Even as it was, we came pretty close. If one half of a person out of every 100 people who voted for Nixon had voted for him, for the senator, we would have won. That's all. Just one half a person. And if he voted for Nixon, you can guess which half the person it was. As Mr. Sinatra here just told you, be one of the senator's closest friends. Whom do you think drank all the punch that Hubert says, please as? My friends, I taught him everything he knows about politics. Before I got a hold of him, he thought Henry Cabot Lodge was a motel. And that Barry Goldwater was a urologist. So I can assure you that Hubert Humphrey would have made a wonderful president, just as he made a wonderful vice president. And did you know that he was the most active vice president we ever had? He used to get up at 6 o'clock every morning so he could run down and collect his unemployment insurance. And he is such a generous and compassionate man. When he heard that Watts was burning, he sent the inhabitants a whole truckload of marshmallows. And unlike other politicians, you never hear any stories about Humphrey and Broads. Because I'm the one who paid them all off.
And now, Leo, we are pleased to have with us one of the most respected umpires in the National League. He worked behind the plate in many of the games your teams played. Ladies and gentlemen, would you all please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks.
Thank you very much, Dune. Thank you, Dean. Friends, it is indeed a pleasure for me to be here tonight to honor the one and only Leo the Cockroach. What's that? The roaster? Well, I knew it was some sort of a little bugger. It's also a real thrill for me to be here on the same day. Be here on the same day. Speaker's platform with the great Hank Aaron. What? Maury Will? Well, you'll have to excuse me, because all those Puerto Rican ball players look the same. Yes, Leo. Leo Drosser is a truly fine baseball manager. Probably one of the 300 or 400 best of all time. Leo doesn't scare me once when Sandy Koufax, when old Sandy Koufax was pitching against his team, Leo came running out of the dugout and said, "Grease ball, grease ball." I told him, "Don't be ridiculous. Sandy is Jewish." And he's a man of very diverse interests. He's especially interested in genealogy, the study of people's family trees. Until I first met Leo, I always thought I was the son of a waitress. Because as Leo well knows, there's one cardinal rule in baseball. An umpire never changes his call. Unless there's a broad in it for it.
Our next speaker has never met Don Rickles. Boy, that's a lucky guy. But he asked especially if he could come here tonight just to pay tribute to him. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks.
Thank you very much. As the Puerto Rican gentleman just told you, I have never met Don Rickles. In fact, he's probably wondering what I'm doing here. He has never even seen. He has never seen me before. He has never heard of me, and our paths have never crossed. However, Mr. Rickles, you and I do have an indirect relationship. You see, I'm fooling around with your wife. So you see, we do have something in common. I hope you understand, Don, that we have tried to keep this very, very discreet. So don't tell anybody, will you? My wife would be furious if she found out about it. Don, I really must compliment you on your spouse, Mrs. Pickles. I say that because she's a real dilly. And I must also admit you have a very lovely home. Incidentally, you're out of scotch. And if you happen to think of it, pick up some pretzels. You know, Don, what your wife and I love to do most? Watching you while you're on TV. When you're on, we just laugh and chuckle and giggle, and sometimes we even turn the sound on. And we are always sad when you finish your act. That means you're on your way home, and I better cheese it. Which reminds me, you're out of Velveeta, too. Now, please, Don, don't blame your lovely wife for any of this. Our getting together was all my doing. It's all my fault. I happen to be the one who answered her ad in the Hollywood Free Press. You know, your wife thinks very, very highly of you, Don. She tells me you are a wonderful man. And I know that you must be to put up with all her snoring. She tells me that since she's been Mrs. Rickles, she says every day with you is Thanksgiving. By golly, that's what she gets for marrying the turkey.
Oh, hi. And now, Jack, we are pleased to have with us a man who has known and served you for many years. He's the gentleman who makes out your income tax returns for you. Would you all please welcome Jack Benny's accountant, Mr. Foster Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. It is, friends, a great honor and a privilege for me to be here tonight to pay tribute to that fine, decent, upright, generous human Humanitarian, Mr. Jack Ben. Did I get it right, Scrooge? I believe you can tell a lot about a man by his income tax return. And so I brought along Mr. Benny's latest tax return. I'm sure that Mr. Benny will not mind if I read a few things. I do this just to prove what an ordinary, honest, straightforward cheapskate he really is. Now, under income, we have $1,078,000. $1 million from nightclubs, television, concerts, and commercials. And $78 from the return of empty soda bottles he collected in his neighborhood. Now, under charitable contributions, we have a grand total of zilch. But don't get the wrong idea. That's not because Mr. Benny is cheap. It's just because, as his wife once explained, at his age, he can't even give it away. And I would like to conclude by telling you that Mr. Benny is one of the most generous individuals I know. Last year, I was invited to his and Mary's 45th anniversary party. Jack married her when he was -6. Anyway, in honor of the occasion, Jack threw this lavish banquet at McDonald's. And in the middle of the festivities, a panhandler came out to Jack and said, "Excuse me, but it's been days since I've had a square meal." And with tears in his eyes, Jack looked at him and said, Gee, I'd love to help you, but all they serve here are hamburgers and they're round."
One of the most important men, you know, that didn't even hurt me. You know, one of the most important men on any president's staff is his press secretary. He's the one responsible for, this is quite a word. Disseminating? That's close. He's the one responsible for decimating information. Disseminating information about the president to the news media. We are very pleased to have with us tonight President Washington's press secretary. Would you all please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks?
How well I remember the one evening, Mr. President, that you'd invited me to your home for dinner. After you and your lovely wife had a brief discussion as to the loyalty to one another down through the years. And she looked at you and said, George, I wrote a poem about that. And you looked at Martha and said, let me hear it. And she said, you say you've always been faithful, that you've never cheated once. And yet there are times when I feel that I must be an awful dunce. But you must know how I feel, my love, how I feel about you, however faithful you've been to me, I've been as faithful to you. And you, Mr. President, turned to me and said, how would you like to be married to a cheating broad like that? And I wish to thank you, sir, or madam, whatever the case may be. Yes, I am the man in charge of disseminating news about George Washington. Some of the stories I disseminate are real. However, some of them are what you might call instances of artificial dissemination. First of all, you all know that story I put out about George chopping down the cherry tree. Well, it is true as far as it went. But do you know why he chopped down that cherry tree? Pure spite. He wanted to stop little Tommy Jefferson's poodle from using it. And you all know the story about how George was crossing the Delaware. He stood up in the boat to provide inspiration to his men. That was not the reason. He just wanted to get a better look because he heard that Dolly Madison was skinny dipping. There is, however, one legend about George Washington that is absolutely true. He did throw a silver dollar across the Potomac River, which goes to show that history repeats itself. First, there's a Georgie Porgy who throws a dollar, and now there's a Dickie who passes the buck.
Of the credit for the success of Laugh-In has to go to the writers. And we're very pleased to have with us tonight the man who was the head writer on Laugh-In. Would you all please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks?
As Mr. Martin just told you, I was Laugh-In's head writer. And I got that title because that's where I did most of my writing. In the head. It truly was a great experience working for Dickie Dacky Dack and Dickie. It was a great experience working with Dick and Dick. Dick and Dan. Their philosophy of comedy was that every show should have something for everybody. Adults, children, morons and degenerates. People often wondered how we managed to maintain the high standard of material on Lathium. Well, you see, there were 68 writers. And every week we had a we had a little contest. And whoever wrote the funniest joke got to spend the night with Ruth Buzzy. Of course, Dick and Dan have very creative minds themselves. And Dan, in particular, especially Dan. He wrote much of his own material, lines like, "Your aunt said what?" Dan wrote that. Or, oh, really? But you know, there's one thing that used to make me mad. That's when some critics used to say that Rowan and Morton were unimportant to Lathin. Dick and Dan unimportant. Cocky pocky. Pop. You know where Laughing would be there without Dan Morton right back and Dan Rowan and Dick Morton, do you? It'd probably still be on the air.
Bob Hope has one of the most hectic schedules in the world. A typical week may find him in a dozen cities, 10 different countries. The responsibility of flying him to all of his commitments, such as the roast tonight, rests on the shoulders of one person. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man who has been Bob Hope's personal pilot for the last 32 years, Captain Foster Brooks.
See that you parachuted to safety, as I did. I hate laying those great big gray things down in the dark. As the steward for Alitalia just told you, and boob hops hop boo boo. I am Bubba. I am our host's personal pilot. So far this year, we've logged 3 million miles together. Most of them trying to find this place. Not everyone is qualified to perform a task as demanding as the one I have chosen to make my life work. It requires a man with razor-sharp reflexes, a man with complete control of his senses, a man who's able to execute split-second decisions, knowing that the slightest error in judgment could mean the demise of one of the most revered and best-loved citizens on Earth. I think I'm going to throw up.
guest of honor credits many people with helping him become a star, but none more than the man you're about to meet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Telly Savalas' personal barber, Mr. Foster Brooks.
Hi, Shaggy. I happen to be the personal barber for Telly Saliva. Day or night, I am always on call, in much the same fashion as many of the damsels of this fair city. And always in my hand, this trusty razor, the finely honed instrument which has made Telly stand out in the crowd. Unless he's among Yul Brenner, Mr. Clean, or Norman Vincent after I peeled him. Yet great as my contributions have been, I cannot claim sole credit for Curly's success. Much of the credit must go to this gusty Greek himself. Because, you see, ladies and gentlemen, in a world full of armpits, he dared to be an elbow.
Poor Lucy left her hometown to seek fame and stardom. She promised her high school beau that she'd return someday and marry him. And so here, all the way from Jamestown, New York, meet the man who's been Lucy's fiancé since 1933, Mr. Foster Brooks. That's Lucy.
I bet you didn't expect to see me here tonight, did you, Big Red? It's been 41 years, but she still looks the same except for the hair. She wasn't a redhead then. She was bald. Hello, Lucille Bald. We met at Jamestown High School, and I was the captain of the football team. And I'll never forget the first time I scored. Touchdown! You remember, Lizzie, you shook your pom-poms at me? She wasn't even a cheerleader. Right from the beginning, Lassie or Lucy. Lucy and I were drawn to each other physically. We like two moths to a sock. I was a lusty larva, and she had a cute cocoon. No offense to the colored man on the dais. Well, yet strong as our passions were, the fire follicles and I were never caught doing anything illicit, immoral, or unsavory.
We did them all, but we never caught that. But I've been very faithful to you. How about you, Luce? That's what the football team used to call her. I still have the hots for you, Cherry Head. Say yes to my offer, and I will deliver unto thee an eternal bliss. You say no, and I'll just fiddle with you on weekends.
We have with us the man responsible for the remarkable physical shape of our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, one of Florida's leading medical authorities and Jackie's personal physician, Dr. Foster Brooks. I sit down, then you talk. Then when you're through, I get up and you sit down.
Mr. Gleason here yet?
As the singing nun just told you, I am the personal physician. I am the personal physician for Jackie Jerky. Our renowned rump roast Steve. A man who is affectionately called Butterball. And I might say he's had many a turkey to prove it. While it is true that Mr. Greaseball is a trifle overweight, a thorough examination of him this morning proved without a doubt that he is not a slob. He's not a pig. He's not fat. He's pregnant. You may ask, how could old bubbly belly here get with child? The usual way. Dinner, dancing, a few drinks. He said, me have a babe. Me have a babe. Have a child. He said, that's inconceivable. I said, anything's possible nowadays. My wife had a Volkswagen. And she had it right out in front of the house. You are in a family way, I went on. He cried out, why me? Why me?
I said, blame it on the Miami sun. You're running around in heat too long. There's one question still left unanswered. Who got this walrus of wit into trouble? Was it Audrey in the meadows? Was Jane a little too keen on him? Or did Sheila McRae get him that McRae? That's not important. What matters is that the baby is born healthy. Then for Big Mama here, 1975 will be a good year, as it would be for any blimp.
That I get to introduce someone who's in worse shape than I am. Here's the distinguished chairman of the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Buster Frooks.
Thank you, Sammy. I'm honored to be standing here, and I rather imagine you're surprised that I am. The last time you and I were side by side, somebody stepped on my tongue. Ladies and gentlemen, folks. This man, Dean Martin has without a doubt the warmest heart in show business. And you would too if you drank Sterno. Before we go any further, the MGM Grand Hotel has asked me to tell you something. We don't mind if you have parties in your room with a lot of scantily dressed girls running around, but please have a little consideration for your neighbors and also for me. Next time, please cover up your keyhole. On behalf of the city, on behalf of the citizens, half of the folks of Las Vegas, I'm here to give our thanks to this superstar, Sandy Duncan Jr.
Sandy Duncan.
Oh. Where would Las Vegas be without you, Sammy? Probably out in the middle of some desert. You know, Snappy, Snoopy? You had many handicaps to overcome on your way to becoming the beloved star you think you are. Whenever you play Las Vegas, many people benefit financially. And may I add, a finer bunch of girls you couldn't ask for. Come to think of it, I asked for one of them last night. Did you get yours? Mr. Davis, you are a great performer. The excitement you create in an audience is incredible. There they sit, spellbound, wondering if someone in your entourage is ransacking their room. From dancing for pennies to that magnificent moment when Frank Sinatra phoned down to the lobby and said, "Send the colored kid up to dance while I shave."
Is the trainer and bodybuilding genius who made the champ what he is today. Let's give a warm welcome to Foster Brooks.
It's amazing. He's a fighter and you have the alcohol rub. The first thing I did to build up Muhammad. You know, it's this brown clown here. First thing I did was to change Muhammad's diet. He was eating collard greens. But that's what colored folks eat. I filled his plump little body with wheat germ. And when I ran out of wheat germ, I gave him diseased wheat. After I built his body, I had to teach him the famous Ali shuffle. How to move around the ring, how to dance. You know these people, they haven't any rhythm. Before I changed the champ into a super fighter he is today, he was a different man. He was young, inexperienced, a 97-pound weakling, and boy, that's one other thing. He was white. When I change a man, I go all the way, all over.
Much about Dean Martin's past tonight. One element which hasn't been touched upon is the fact that in his formative years, he was a member of the Boy Scouts. We are proud to have with us tonight the leader who helped form our man of the hour, his scoutmaster from Steubenville, Ohio, Mr. Foster Brooks.
As this boring, bald buffoon just told you, I was Dean Scoutmaster in Ohio, in Steubenville. And I'm here at the MGM Grand Hotel tonight I'm here to salute. This bum's pass. My bosom... My bosom swells with pride, something Ruth Buzzy might even envy. You may look, you may look. You may look at me and say, push the tish, posh, tish. Well, that's easy for you to say. I remember when this piffle pixie was a Cub Scout. The happy hours we spent of a summer evening sitting around a campfire in our little short pants, roasting our weenies. And, of course, warming our buns. Dean's dream was to be a great singer. Mine was to be a great brain surgeon. I'm sorry your dream wasn't fulfilled. This Latin lout could have been a gifted surgeon. He was the first scout to perform an emergency vasectomy. on a great horny owl. To this day, that owl is looking for you, Dean. You just walk through any Steubenville woods, and you'll hear that bird singing pitifully. In conclude. As I leave you may ask why all these nice people on this dais have given of their time and traveled many miles to honor Dean Martin. As I said before, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
Watch McCloud, Dennis Weaver doesn't really hang from helicopters, jump from buildings, and chase people on horseback. He has a stuntman to do all those dangerous things. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Dennis Weaver's stuntman, a guy with real courage and nerves of steel, Mr. Foster Brooks.
I've been a stuntman on McCloud right from the very beginning. And you know why? Because he's chicken. Now let me tell you a few things about the faint-hearted fuzz. And you want to know something else about Den's? He's afraid of horses. You think he's not scared? He won't even get on one unless he's wearing Pampers. Do you want to know something else? You want to know something else about him? That isn't even his voice. His real voice is extremely high-pitched. For a long time, he was known as Denise Weaver. One final bit of information regarding my job. As you know, the inadequate investigator here has three kids. That was my greatest stunt.
Friend of Jacks knows that he loves to play the horses. With us tonight is a famous breeder of thoroughbred horses, the owner of Green Gate Stables in Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dudley Withers III.
Jack Klugman finally got a dinner. However, this racing aficionado.
Aficionado.
It's easy for you to say. This, what he said, could have been a great rider, but riding horses always gave him a painful headache. For me, it was just the reverse. Lately, Jack has been so busy with his play acting, I haven't been able to give him a report of our racing business. I have good news, and I have bad news. The good news is our six-year-old mare gave birth to a fine little colt. The bad news is she was in the starting gate at the time. Jack was foaled on Friday the 13th on South 13th Street, the 13th of 12 children. Stormy night, he was born. His mother, while walking under a ladder, stumbled over a black cat, broke a mirror, and saw the ghost of Jack's Uncle Max, who wasn't even dead yet. This sad series of events led to Jack's first nickname, Lucky. Well, Jack, take my advice and stick to show business. You know nothing about good breeding.
Our guest of honor had a glittering record in World War II. He was one of the few officers in the history of the Air Force to receive the Distinguished Service Medal for outstanding service to the United States, but he never could have achieved that honor without the help of a great fellow aviator who flew with him for 20 missions. As a surprise to Jimmy, that fabulous flyboy is here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks.
Thank you, Dolly Parton.
Sorry, but I'm not Dolly Parton.
You're not half as sorry as I am. What's the point spread on Dolly this week? It's a real thrill for me to be here to pay tribute to my old flying buddy, Jimmy Stew. Jimmy Stew. The tall, skinny guy over here. I can still recall the day I first met Jimmy. It was at the air base in England. We were in a briefing room, walking around in our briefs. But Jimmy and I became good buddies, and as two handsome young flyers, naturally we were surrounded by adoring service women. That's what I was born for, to service women. I remember Jimmy was dating a whack, a wave, and a waff, and I wound up with a woof. Always got the dog. But then the bugles of war sounded. And on our first mission, Jimmy was the pilot and I was the navigator. I was the one with the SO road map. Using all my skills, I guided us to the target, and we bombed the heck out of it. Unfortunately, the aerial photographs showed that we wiped out Trenton, New Jersey. Nobody's perfect. After that, Jimmy made me his tail gunner, and he even offered me a bonus. Every time I shot down some Messerschmitts, he gave me a Messerschlitz. And I was doing real good until on one mission we were in the thick of battle, and Jimmy yelled, "Action at 2 o'clock! Action at 2 o'clock!" I opened fire at 2 o'clock and shut off my wristwatch.
We all know Betty White on TV, but what is it what's she really like, huh? To find out, we've invited an expert from her past as a special surprise to our guest of honor. We've flown in a man who was one of her first boyfriends, someone who has known her intimately. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Betty White's former fiancé.
Very much, Diplo. Now you should stop getting gas because President Carter is slapping a tax on big guzzlers. But anyway, it's a thrill for me to sway before you tonight and pay tribute to my old fiancé, the old broad I used to mess around with. Now, this lovely creature and I go way back. Way back. I still remember the first time I laid eyes on Dimples here. We went out on a blind date. She was outdated and I was blind. Now, you may not realize it. I sure don't. But it was Betty. Betty has always had a passion for animals. And anything that flies or crawls. Nothing personal, dude. Our next date, we went, where did you hear this? We went down to the lake and parked in the same dark spot, real romantic spot, and I slipped off my shirt, and then I slipped off my pants, I slipped off my trousers, and there we were there until 2 o'clock in the morning doing the same old thing. Throw the stick in the water and I'd fetch it.